My full screen is my thing. Does anyone know why I'm missing the play button? I'm not an expert at Google. Oh, here it is. Jeez. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining today. I actually went ahead and created some slides to guide the meeting just so that we can stay on topic. Got a good agenda here. Is Jane on? I believe Jane mentioned that she'd be able to give an update on the borderless cyber. I just wanted
Yeah,
to
I'm
check if
here.
she's
Can
here.
you hear me?
Yeah, okay, great. I just want to make sure you're there. Hi, Jane. So the agenda, so first we're going to get an update on Borderless Cyber and what's going on there. I wanted to make sure we took the opportunity since we got the PGB together to update people on that in case they haven't, seen the emails or been following. Second topic is a brief summary of the discussion we had with IECD, which was a follow-up to the IOB webinar that we hosted between myself and Ladrina and Sam Curry from Cyber Reason. We got a lot of great feedback on that webinar and wanted to briefly talk about it and the next steps there. I actually have a project that I wanted to share with the PGB, which IBM Security is going to be open sourcing next week. And our intention, our hope, is that the OCA will find this project very interesting because we actually would love to donate it into the OCA and have an open governance around it. So I'm going to give a brief overview of what that is. I'm not going to like do a demo or anything, but assuming people are interested, I would love to set up a demo and we can go through it in more detail. Next topic is a call for participation I have around analyst briefing that is going to be happening next week. And then hoping that Russ could spend a few minutes, just going over update and some of the challenges he's been having in the reference architecture group. Before I get started, does anyone have any last minute topics they'd like to add to the agenda to cover today? Okay, hearing none. We'll jump right into it. So, Jane, did you want to, spend a couple minutes, giving an update on Borderless Cyber, what we're doing there, for the
Yeah,
PGB?
yeah, 100%. No, hi everyone. I don't very often get a chance to participate on your call, so thanks for giving me a few minutes to chat about what's going on. So as Jason mentioned, if some of you have not seen yet, we are holding a 2-day Borderless Cyber virtual event in June. It is specifically the 23rd and 24th. The event itself is open to everyone and free, so there is no charge to attend the event. We would very much love to see all of you there, as well as, encourage others to attend. With regards to OCA, I did want to mention a couple things because obviously when we host an event, we definitely want to highlight all the great work that folks are doing in this particular area. OCA obviously is one of them. We are still working out the agenda. I do have a planning committee, and just to let you guys know, there are 3 of the organizations that are on the PGB that are involved in the planning part of the actual program. So rest assured, we will have OCA representation. At the very minimum, we're looking at having a panel, of sort of a variety of individuals talking about, the importance of building such an ecosystem that we're trying to accomplish, as well as potentially giving, some updates as to what's going on specifically within it. So I will have more to share by the end of the week, which is tomorrow. I'm just realizing that in my head. and, with the PGB and just give you guys a little bit more ideas as to what, what kind of spin we're going to take on it. And then also, look to see if anyone has feedback, and so forth and so on. And we'll work with the group to make sure that, the representation is correct and all of that fun stuff. But again, we do encourage you to, sign up to attend and circulate it to others. We have the agenda will be posted early next week. Right now, there's just some preliminary information in there. But we have some really great stuff. The actual theme of the event is mitigating global supply chain threats, which is very timely given, obviously the breach that took place in the fall. And we have as our partner of this is the National Council of ISAC. So their input has been very valuable to sort of making that agenda cohesive to match both our perspective as well as theirs. So lots of good stuff. I'm excited to announce the agenda, a preliminary agenda next week, and hopefully we'll get a pretty good showing. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have on the particular event or.
I got a question, and then I'll open it up to others on the floor here.
Sure.
So you mentioned that the agenda that's going to be available early next week, or late next week, or like what's the date that we're targeting for that? And I'm just curious, like I'm just curious when we get a sense of what the agenda looks like.
Yeah, so the planning committee meets on Tuesday, and I hope to come out with that preliminary agenda the day after, so Wednesday.
Okay, awesome. Does anyone else have any questions about this event or how it works? I put some links in the slide deck here, which I will share the link to the slide deck after the meeting, so that you can see some of the previous Borderless cyber events if you want to get a feel for what's been done in the past at these. Any questions for Jane?
Jason, I also had one other thing marketing related. I was not on the last call, so maybe Dee, I think Dee's on the phone too. She can fill you in on more specifics, but we do have an opportunity at the upcoming RSA, which is in less than 2 weeks now. As OASIS is a association sponsor of the event, and with that we get a online presence associated with the event, free of charge. It's part of our barter, and in there we're able to provide some collateral, and we wanted one of those pieces to be something OCA related. And I know Dee has had some conversations about that as well. So I think my default piece is going to be the solutions brief, to include that in the information if in fact we don't want to do any kind of new video or add something else. So I did just want to mention that. The deadline to get that information is next Friday. So we are, it's climbing up on us. So.
Yeah, unless anybody else has any thoughts or suggestions, I also lean towards the solution brief. It's kind of our best artifact right now, and that's really what we made it for, was for things like this and to be able to share with customers and et cetera, et cetera. So to me, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think so, Jason. I guess my one other thought would be, is there opportunity for you to present the presentation you're working on right now for the analyst briefing?
You mean like record a video and then have that as part of the material?
That, or are there, with during the event, is there a keynote or a speaking opportunity somewhere?
Oh, I don't know. Jane can answer that question, but I assume that they would have said something if there was. I think it's
Yes. So
ahead,
with
Jane.
our exchange, because it's more of a barter, we don't get any kind of high level keynote positions. However, what we're able to provide are either videos or, let's say, a white paper PDF that you can download. So if in fact, that interview is going to take place and you're able to record it, that would be something we could load up. But I think what, they have mentioned that, keep it brief because, people are going to be jumping from place to place and, you'll keep their attention for a short period of time. So if it's something that's terribly long, we might want to make sure we shorten it and have the time to do that.
Well, then maybe we just use some of that content, some of the directional stuff. And I think having a short little well-recorded, produced video that's a call to action, for people to get involved, come and contribute what we're trying to accomplish.
I think, yeah, I mean, what
would be good.
Yeah, what we could do, Jane, is so the video that Darren and I recorded that's on the website, right? There's like a 2-minute version of that somewhere. Maybe we post that with the solution brief just in case people want to watch the video. I don't know what kind of size limitations you have here.
It's not so much the side limitations, but as with regards to videos, they were recommending, that they be kind of 3 minutes, no more.
Yeah, there is a short version of it. There's a version that's only like 2 minutes or something. In fact, I think the one on the website is very short.
Yeah, I think both of them are on the website. So, I mean, certainly we have access to that if that's the route you guys would like to go.
I think it'd be good. It'd be a good little landing at the virtual booth. I don't know what that looks like. And then have a link to the solution brief and, GitHub and our other websites and things. But we can take that offline.
Sounds great. I'll firm it up with you guys before anything gets posted.
Okay. Sounds great. Any other questions for Jane? Either on Borderless or any other market topics? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jane.
I'm sorry. As I'm thinking, I did want to also ask you specifically if you had given any thoughts to the next community event, because I think that would be something it would be great to get on the books.
Yeah. I have been giving it some thought, because there's a bunch of different things going on right now and a bunch of different discussions. So I've been giving it thought, but I'm not sure we're ready yet or have a solid idea. So I think we want to do one probably. I think that, I'm going to talk about it here in the agenda. The last one, in my opinion, was a wild success, and we definitely want to replicate that type of activity. I just think we need to make sure that we know what we want to do and we have the point of view to present, not that we need something fully baked, which is what I'll talk about in a second here. But does that make sense? Maybe we should just keep moving the agenda because I'm kind of going to be going into this in a second, I think.
That works. Yep.
Okay. All right, perfect. Which is the next topic? Okay. So we did run this OCA community event that Jane's referring to in earlier in April. And in my opinion, it was very successful. But by most metrics for these types of things, we had 32 attendees on the webinar and the WebEx, and then we got over 40 views afterwards on YouTube. Now I'm assuming there's some overlap there in the participants, but we had roughly 70 different participants engaging in this, which for this kind of a topic is decent. And the people who did engage, we got some great questions and interaction on that call, and in fact, it resulted in a follow-up conversation with some folks at JHU from the previous IACD effort um, around, they also had been pursuing this indicators of behavior work, and they had some existing work around modeling IOBs and sticks. That work never really made it through the process yet to be published and shared, so it was never really part of the IACD published work. But it, um, basically, because of this conversation, they're now going to look at, like, bring that back, run it through the process so they can share it with our group and start collaborating around this problem set. So there's some individuals there who are perhaps interested in joining a thread around indicators of behavior sharing. We had other folks on the webinar who obviously were interested in the topic, and we have a number of different OCA members who are interested in this topic as well. So it seems clear that we have a critical mass. I'd like to propose that we start a working group on indicators of behavior as kind of the next step here in this conversation. And I'm wondering what folks in the PGB think of that. And I'm also wondering, um, Ladrina, I see you here. I don't know if you'd be willing to chair that or help organize that working group. As I know, you and Cyber Reason are very interested in this topic. I think that would be spectacular. So, putting that out there now, does anyone have any thoughts or reservations on this topic?
No reservations or concerns. I'm curious, Jason, if you think there might be opportunity to work with the sticks group to make an IOB, maybe potentially a formal extension, um, to sticks and try and align those things somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ultimate goal for all of these different work streams that we do here is to, figure out how we want to model this in sticks so that we can then create, um, with previous versions of sticks so that we could create like a normalized, OCA defined extension. And now with Sticks 2.1, that's actually a formal process you can do. So you can actually define an extension in the standard itself. So I think we would want to publish that. That's kind of the whole goal of what we're trying to do here. So I fully support that. I think in terms of like getting it back into the standard, the first step is to define the extension, and then the next step is to implement that and make it work, which is what we're all about here, right? So creating, getting some participants who are in the OCA to implement that in some fashion, have some open source tooling to help you implement it and make it work easier, that we can put as part of the project. That those are all the directions hopefully those working group would go into. And then once we have those first two steps, working with the TC to get it into the standard, that's the next step after that. Does that make sense? Like that's the whole mission of all the different things. It's the same thing we want to do with ontology as well, right? And same
Yeah,
thing we want to do with stick shifter, with the extensions we're making there.
yeah, absolutely makes sense. I'm supportive of it.
Any other thoughts, comments? Ladrina, are you there? Not sure. Maybe she's on mobile. Maybe she can't hear me. Um, that's fine. So we can reach out and try to get that work group organized and try to figure out how we're going to action that. But yeah, tying this back to Jane's question, right? This format seemed very successful. This idea of having a community webinar where the goal is to share our point of view and get feedback, not just do a one-way presentation, right? And not come into it with the idea that we have something figured out, but more that we have an idea that we think the community would be interested in helping us figure out. So I think we should do more of those because it will encourage more folks to get involved in the work that's going on here. Because these are and this ties into, I think, the conversation that Russ is going to have about how do we move some of this work forward. I think personally that we need to be willing to share more of our incomplete thoughts, so that we can get more participation in the wider community on developing this stuff. We don't have to be doing this in an OCA bubble. Um, so that's what I'm not sure. I haven't put enough thought into to create a proposal to share with the PGB about what our next community topic should be, because there's a lot of different threads we have afoot now around the reference architecture, around how, we have some thoughts around what we do in ontology, some thoughts about the, assets keeps coming up, modeling assets, modeling findings. So there's a bunch of different topics we could do. So picking the right one and making sure we've got the right folks to contribute to that is going to be key. Thoughts before I move on? Thoughts or comments?
Hi, I'm Claudia. I just thought I quickly add something to this discussion. By the way, I'm the new Open Projects Manager for OASIS, and this is my first time attending the OCA PGB, and it won't be the last time, so I'm happy to meet you all, and just would like to say that if you have any questions or suggestions for me, please feel free to reach out. But I actually have something to add to this webinar discussion. I'm just curious why it's called a webinar, because if it's an open discussion, maybe a different term would, be more inviting and people have different expectations then. I'm just curious.
No, that's very insightful. So when we shared it, we didn't call it a webinar. I just called it that in the slide. So we called it a community forum.
Right.
And we did it on WebEx as the platform, but we called it a community forum. So yeah, I agree. We shouldn't call it a webinar because it's not a webinar. I think the reason it was successful is because it wasn't a webinar.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, thank you, Jason. Thanks.
And by the way, great to meet you, Claudia. And for folks who may not, be following everything or be aware, so Jory went on to a new amazing role at the OpenJS Foundation. And Claudia is now the new Open Projects coordinator for Oasis. So. Perfect. Okay, so next topic, this threat hunting language project. So I'm very excited about this. This is a little bit of a preview for OCA PGB members because we're going to be announcing this next week at RSA. IBM Security and IBM Research have been collaborating on this project for over a year now to basically build a universal threat hunting language that can run on top of StickShifter. What do I mean by that? Essentially, StickShifter lets you go and fetch data from all of these different cybersecurity products and normalize to a Sticks ontology and bring it back. What it doesn't let you do is then run analytics on top of that data. So typically a threat hunter not only wants to go and get data, but when it comes back, they want to interact with it, slice it, dice it, build what they call a threat hunt workflow. where you can take this data and combine it with this other data and do some analysis, enrich it with lookups and threat intelligence information, and then do outlier detection, and then take the results of that and either visualize it somehow, or perhaps create an incident. So the thing is, though, that all of the ways that you do that are very proprietary and tied to the different tools. You have to do this, you do it a different way from one platform to another, to another, to another. And what we wanted to be able to do was have a way for threat hunters to write these hunts and then execute them and have them just work across all the different platforms. And that's what we did. So we used Stick Shifter as the data transport layer, and then we added this analytics layer on top of it. And the reason I'm so excited about this is that, not only is this a very cool capability, and not only are we going to open source it, but because it leverages Stick Shifter, it allows, like, this allows Stick Shifter to be very useful for an operator. I kind of see it almost as the killer app for the Stick Shifter open source project, because one of the challenges we've had with Stick Shifter adoption is it's not immediately valuable to the SOC. You have to take that library, that project, and integrate it into something else. Well, Kestrel is that something else. You can download this and open it on your desktop with Jupyter Notebooks and use it immediately. It provides real value. So we're really excited about this project. I'm not going to go through like a whole demo here because it would take up too much time. I will set up a demo though for next week and send an invite out to the PGB. So if you're interested in seeing it, you can go to that demo. We also, I've got the link here to the RSA session we're going to be presenting it at. We are going to be open sourcing this, and our intention is to donate it to the OCA. So assuming, others in the PGB agree. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts, feedback, on the idea of what we're doing here. If you think it's a good idea to have this as part of the OCA.
Hey, Jason. Yeah, sorry, this is Adam. Yeah, I think this is great. I'd really like to see the demo. I think my next week is pretty full for me. So if I can't make it, would you be willing to record that demonstration?
Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, we have a recording. So maybe what I'll do, yeah, I'm trying to be a little careful. So I could send the link to the recording out, but I don't really want to post it to the public mailing list because we're doing that RSA demo. So what I will do is, if anyone is interested in this, let me know and I'll email you the link directly. So I'll email you directly, Adam. I saw Kelly is interested as well. I'll email Kelly directly with the link to the demo.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, so this is a really exciting thing. Like, to me, I really think, I hope we can bring this to the PGB or to the OCA. And I really do kind of have, I'm always the guy, the half full kind of guy, I guess. But I personally do think this is kind of going to be a pivotal moment to get that project much more widely adopted and get more community.
Hey, Jason, sorry. I have one more question for you. Should we treat that video link that you send to us as essentially being embargoed until after or during RSA, or would it be okay for me to share it, for example, with our SOC folks, the guys in the security operations center?
Oh yeah, you can share it. I'd say it's like TLP Amber. We'll say it's an Amber.
Got it. All right.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't. in fact, feel free to share it with anybody that you think, regardless if they're in your organization or not. I just don't want to put it on everything sent to the PGB mailing list is in public, right? It's wide open. So I don't
Yeah, understood.
really feel comfortable doing that. So, yeah. Not sure what's going on here. I'm drawing on my screen for some reason. It says that Russ is doing an annotation here. All right. I don't know what happened there. Um, the next topic I wanted to have is so I've informed the PGB, I believe, if folks haven't seen the notice, I'm being interviewed next week by John Olstick at ESG, who's looking for a briefing on the OCA, what we've been up to, what our status is. So I'm going to be doing that next week. As part of that briefing, I need to create some slides to help guide the conversation, like basically a more up-to-date version of the last OCA status update, which was what we did when we launched the SCAP2 prototype project. We did an update and kind of walked everyone through what's been going on. So I need to do that. I'm kind of doing a call for participation here. I'd love for some folks to help me with that. If you think if there's specific topics that we've been working on that you think, I really would like to get this in front of ESG as part of this presentation, please let me know. Please reach out so that we can collaborate on the slide deck in Google Slides, so that I can make sure I represent all the different players' viewpoints here. So that's basically what this topic is, just an update on that briefing and call for participation. If people have specific things they want to make sure are covered, reach out, let me know, and we can work together to make that happen. All
Hey,
right.
Jason.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is Adam again. What is ESG?
Oh, ESG, Enterprise Security Group, I think it stands for. They're a large analyst firm like Forrester, Gartner.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So John's actually is very well known in this space of interoperability, SOAR, XDR, sharing insights between tools. He invented this term called Sopa for this whole space. It's something he's been covering for a while, so it's kind of a subject matter expert. Okay. This is the final topic for the agenda, by the way, unless people have some other things. So I didn't have a chance to put this down on the slide, but I know that Russ is looking for some help and guidance in the reference architecture group. So Russ, did you want to give some comments here?
Yeah, sure. This is Russ. I'll give you some comments. So first of all, we're at revision 3 of the reference architecture. I'm looking for input and feedback. It's been posted for a couple of weeks now, and I haven't had a lot of feedback. We're on the last revision of this document. We've added in the use case, the malware use case that we selected, and we added a lot of details around the SIM. So we're kind of at a point now where all the technical input that people are willing to give me, I have incorporated in the document, and anything I could add is in there. So we're at a point now where we can wrap up revision 3, get that done. And we're now at the point where we don't have a lot of topics left to extend the reference architecture. So we were looking for some folks to help us with some input. We have a call today, which will be the last cadence call. We've had biweekly calls, but because we don't have material or enough people giving input, I'll be going to a on-demand kind of a motion where And we'll have the meetings on every other Thursday, but if I don't have any topics by the Monday before, I'll go ahead and cancel the meeting because we just don't have enough content to keep going on the reference architecture. So again, asking for people to, if they can, spend some time on this, but it looks like we're coming to an end here. We just don't have any more input, and we've wrapped up everything we can with the input we've got so far. So please do look at what we have.
So Russ, I would
Russ,
say that we should keep that recurring slot and just broaden it to be, the TSC general call.
Yeah, and that's the intention. As long as I can get from you agendas and objectives before the call, yes, we'll have the meeting.
Okay. Yeah, we will.
Yep. Perfect. And I'm hoping we can swap over to spend more time on the ontology, which we know we have a lot of work to do, and that's perfectly okay with me. Stop the reference architecture for a while and let's go ahead and work on the ontology. But again, let's make sure we owe everybody agendas and objectives for the meeting. So let's just not show up to the meeting and wing it. Let's try and put a schedule together.
Okay. Yeah, I think it makes sense to do so. And the ontology and architecture, it's all related, or
yeah, absolutely,
to make it related.
So, and I'll go and take a look at the revision 3, but is your is this one of those areas, Russ, where you think we should be trying to broadcast this outside the OCA?
Oh, absolutely. Not only outside, but I even think inside the OCA, to be honest with you. But yeah, absolutely. I think there's enough here to kind of understand the overall how we're positioning the projects, because this is the only document that kind of relates SCAP and ontology and stick shifter in one place, and kind of rationalizes how things fit together and what we're trying to do, what the intent is. So I think so. I
mean, maybe this should be the next community forum, is to share version 3. And we can have a couple of folks from the working group present, share version 3, solicit, open the dialogue around what's missing, and that might encourage, because we post this out on LinkedIn events and everything, that might encourage much more feedback.
And we certainly welcome it.
All right, yeah, let's give that some thought. Let's see if we should do that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, that was actually the agenda for today, and we're coming up right on time. So we've got 7 minutes left, though. Not sure. Does anyone have any other topics that they'd like to cover, or thoughts they'd like to share while we're here? If not, I can give like 5-6 minutes back to everybody.
Yeah, not for me right now. Really exciting stuff with Kestrel, and I think at some point, maybe in the TSC, we should discuss Tensor and
Yes.
something like that, and then bring that back to the PGB with any actions.
Oh, I just thought of another thing that I should have brought up today that I didn't. So I'll take just a minute and raise that. So there's another thing that's going on that the PGB should be aware of. And that's, so we started a research project in conjunction with the Canadian Center for the CIC, Center for or can't even remember what the acronym is now. Anyway, local university here around sticks to data modeling for ICS security for OT use cases. Basically, trying to model, how do you model and do threat detection in an OT environment using sticks? And we started that project last month, and it's actually gotten underway. I've been getting great readouts and feedback and input from that team. It's actually really exciting. They're leveraging OCA tools. They're using OpenDXL. They're basically creating this infrastructure where they take in threat feeds using Taxi, and then bring that down and look for those threats using the STIX data modeling that they've done for the IoT protocol, for the OT protocols. So that's a project that's underway and proceeding. I wanted to bring it up in case, if there are any PGB members who'd like to participate in that, I can, please reach out to me. I'd be more than willing to add you to the readouts and, get your organization involved in the project, because we're actually actively interested in other organizations being part of this research. So that's another thing that's going on. I wanted to let people know about.
That's awesome.
All right. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns for May?
Nothing here. Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Jason.
Yeah, thanks,
Good
Jason.
update. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.